In this video I will give my review on one of the most chaotic rides I've ever ridden, Ride to Happiness at Plopsaland in Panne. In this video I will talk about the presentation and what I like about the coaster, then I will talk over a point of view, give you my top 5 elements of the coaster, and then a final score out of 10.
This coaster is incredible.
It's really crazy. That's the perfect word for it.
Yeah.
Ride to Happiness is one of the most well-presented rides I've ever seen. This is great. I love the new area Tomorrowland. It is super unique, have kind of a steampunk feel to it while still being with loads of bushes and stuff like that. It doesn't feel out of place, it just feels unique and charming. Then the ride entrance is beautiful, and you have that Jojo Roll just go straight out of the station that really shows you how this ride is going to be from the very beginning. And then the queue line is also great, has some great feeling, and the station is great with that robot lady talking to you. That really helps you getting excited for the ride. And the ride itself here is absolutely nuts. It is pure chaos. It has some amazing ejector airtime, it has some amazing inversions with some amazing whip, some amazing hang time. It just have a little bit of everything. This ride is absolutely insane, and I'm going to go in deeper details with that while I talk over a point of view. Immediately after exiting the station, you will take this really slow and weirdly banged Jojo Roll that gives a glorious sustained dose of hang time. It's especially pronounced up front because that's where I go through the slowest. And while spinning is such a chaotic experience. Then you wait a little bit at the launch track before launching, and this launch is really good because it really activates the spinning of this coaster. But other than that, I would also say that the launch is pretty forceful, especially for a Mack Rides launch coaster. Then you go up to the Tophat, and going up to this Tophat you'll get some good positive Gs, and if you are up front you'll get a mad pop of ejector airtime when you reach the top of this Tophat. Then you'll get a good view of the park on the turn. Even the back I would say give a pretty good floater pop also going into the Tophat. But going down from this Tophat, you switch that around. So the front row gives a decent dose of floater airtime on the way down, but the back row gets a sustained dose of strong ejector airtime. That is crazy. That is one of my favorite ejector moments, period. And keep in mind you can take these extreme forces both backwards, forwards and sideways. Then you go into 3 back-to-back inversions. This is the banana roll, the vertical loop, and the step-up underflip. These are all great. I mean, the banana roll is just super chaotic, not that forceful at all, but really chaotic. The vertical loop is really fun. Not the most forceful vertical loop, but it's still definitely forceful. Taking that sideways is really fun, and backwards as well, super fun. Then you have the step-up underflip, and that is super whippy. And it is especially whippy if you take that sideways. If you do that, it is one of the greatest inversions I've ever experienced. Extremely whippy and extremely fun. And extremely lateral heavy as well. Then a pretty forceful turn follows, and then the S-hill, which gives some decent floater airtime and some decent laterals also. And then you take the second launch that has a bunny hill on the launch track. Again, this is a pretty forceful launch for a Mack Rides. And also the bunny hill actually really gives airtime. In the front row it would be like Flowjector, I would say, but in the back row you really get pulled over because the launch have given you so much more speed and you can actually get pretty strong ejector airtime. Then you go into the flying snake dive, and I can't even describe the forces of this one because it is so different from which direction you're taking it in. But all I can say is this inversion is super chaotic and it will throw you around. You will likely not be in your seat for the entire time of this inversion. After this you'll have a bunny hill that definitely gives some pretty strong ejector airtime, followed by a turnaround that gives some pretty good positives, and then the double up. This double up is extremely strong, and it feels so out of control to take two so strong doses of hard ejector airtime while you're actually spinning. That is chaotic, and it will throw you around while also throwing you up and down because of the ejector airtime. It is crazy. It is a little bit more pronounced up front, but it's incredibly strong no matter where you sit. This ride is almost perfect. It also has a great onboard soundtrack to go hand in hand with the entire ride experience. One thing that's slightly negative about this ride for me is that the spinning, I do enjoy it, but I didn't like it quite as much as I expected. It is a little bit uncomfortable as well for me. And then I have a rattle that kind of gives me a headache after several rides in a row. But this is minor nitpicks. This ride is near flawless and I love it to bits. And now it's time to talk about my top 5 elements on Ride to Happiness. Number 5 spot, I have the Jojo Roll just out of the station. Normally these slow handstand moments aren't my preference, but when a ride does it this well, I have to give it some credit for it, because this element is so slow, and while the car is spinning at the same time, just makes a chaotic experience even though it is so incredibly slow. This element is incredible. At number 4 spot, I have the step up underflip. I love whippy inversion, and this is one of the most whippy inversions I've ever experienced. This is amazing. But this is especially great if you take it sideways, so therefore I can't put it any higher, because if you take this in a perfect direction, this could definitely be number 3 on this list. But for now, I've just to put this at number 4 and to put the flying snake dive at number 3. This inversion is great. No matter what direction you will take it in, this is super disorientating, and you will just be flung around for the entire time of this inversion. Most likely you also won't be in your seat while taking it. So yeah, this is a great inversion, but it just doesn't compete with the top 2 of elements in this ride. Number 2 spot goes to this double up, which is really powerful. This is 2 hard doses of ejector airtime. This is really brutal, and while spinning, if you take this backwards, you'll be smacked back and forward while being ejected from your seat. This is amazing. But I must admit that I might prefer it either sideways or forwards, because sideways is just such a fun sensation and forwards is the most comfortable. And this is hard ejector airtime, so this is good on its own. It doesn't need the spinning at all. Number 1 is probably really obvious for you here. This is what I choose to call the Wicked Tophat, because I don't know if this really have a name, but this element is amazing. This is one of the best elements on any coasters that I've ridden, period. Getting this good dose of positives going up to it, and then a good pop of airtime, strongest in the front, going up to it, and then this little banking that just, yeah, if you're facing towards the banking, this is really freaky, because this will lean you over the edge before getting ready to be ejected again when you go down. Especially, this is amazing in the back row, because the airtime you get going down from this Tophat is amazing. And I love when you take that either sideways or backwards, and you do that on many rides. Remember, there's actually 75% for not just taking it forwards, so this is incredible, this element. This is definitely my favorite on this ride by far, and one of my favorite elements on any rides, period. And also, this is one of the elements where the onboard audio really adds to the experience, because you will have the onboard audio increasing while you're going down this drop. Incredible element. So now it's time for a final score for Ride to Happiness, and surprise, this is getting a 10 out of 10 as well, just like Untamed, my last review. This ride is so close to be absolutely flawless. I love it to bits, and I know everyone else does as well who have ridden it. This ride is incredible, definitely go ride it for yourself. Thanks for watching this video, bye guys.